Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to present this business case to you.
I recently attended a technology seminar on BYOD, Bring Your Own Device, and I was consequently convinced that our company can benefit substantially from adopting this technology. Firstly, I will give you some background on BYOD, how it is utilized, the risks associated with it, experiences of other companies, advantages and disadvantages, infrastructure requirements, and some best practice ideas for how BYOD should be managed. Then we will look at the business case analysis, like the payback period, the net present value, the internal rate of return, and the profitability index. Thirdly, a sensitivity analysis was performed considering 3 scenarios. These results will also be discussed. My purpose with this presentation is to introduce you to BYOD, to discuss potential benefits and present you with a business case and sensitivity analysis, all in order to secure your approval and financing to excel our company well and truly into the 21st century with this new technology.
BYOD is quickly becoming one of the most influential trends within world organizations. The term defines a megatrend occurring in IT that requires sweeping changes to the way devices are used within the workplace. So what is BYOD? Does it mean employees pay for their own devices when they use it at work? Possibly, but the BYOD trend means much more. It is about end users being able to use the compute and communications devices of their own choice to increase their productivity and mobility. These can be devices purchased by the employer, purchased by the employee, or both. BYOD means any device with any ownership, used anywhere.
Previously, the most advanced tools an employee had access to was his desktop or laptop computer, which was supplied by the employers. With the current explosion in consumer devices, including laptops, tablets, netbooks, smartphones, e-readers, and others, employees now personally own some of the most advanced productivity tools. BYOD is a way that we as a company can harness these productive devices without the capital outlay. Multiple needs and devices. Traditionally, people were supplied with a desktop or a laptop and added a mobile phone for voice calls. Smartphones are rapidly replacing mobile phones, enabling the user to run applications and access the internet. Many smartphones and tablets are as powerful and capable as laptops and PCs, enabling a new class of users and applications. Some believe the future lies in a single device for all needs, computing, communications, and applications. However, currently there are different devices best suited to particular uses. For example, a laptop is not as portable as a smartphone, so people are likely to carry their smartphone for mobile communications. Although tablets are powerful devices, it is likely that laptops and PCs will still be used for document creation and publishing. This means people are currently more likely to use multiple devices. Work and personal overlap. Increasingly, work is an activity that people do, not a place to which they go to. Extended connectivity through mobile and remote access to the corporate network gives employees more flexibility and increased productivity. This also leads to a crossover between work time and personal time. The consequence of this flexibility is that users probably do not want to carry and switch between personal and work devices. Most employees want to be able to use a single smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop for both work and personal tasks, not also carry around corporate devices. And obviously the most important, anywhere, anytime mobility. It is estimated that mobile devices and the traffic they create on networks will increase by 26 times between now and 2015. This is driven by more powerful smartphones and tablets. Users are demanding internet access and access to applications wherever and whenever they want. Enabling this is an explosive build-out of Wi-Fi networks by employees, 3G and 4G networks by mobile providers, as well as public Wi-Fi by retailers, municipalities, etc. Good, let's now look at the associated risks. Threats to the enterprise posed by an employee-owned mobile device can be as complex as a sophisticated malware attack designed to snoop on an employee's browsing activity, or as simple as plainly losing a phone in a taxicab. These threats will demand new policies to reduce this risk. Enforcing these policies without impacting productivity will be a balancing act. The first step in this is to understand the perceived risks and weigh them up against the company's security posture.
Risks. Confidential information and trade secrets. We will need to take steps to protect our business assets like price lists, tenders, customer lists, and revenue details. Because of BYOD, data will become incredibly portable and mobile. Also, data protection and the employee's right to privacy. An individual's right to privacy is usually protected through the Constitution and also recognized in data protection laws. We need to bring our policies in line with this requirement. Ownership, network contracts, network costs. As an appetizer, we need to consider some financial incentives in the form of funding, insurance, or subsidizing the purchase price of employee devices. This will still be at a fraction of our current costs. Intellectual property. BYOD increases the likelihood of staff doing work on their personal devices outside of usual working hours. Our policies related to ownership of intellectual property need to be updated accordingly. Right, let's now look at some examples of companies employing BYOD.
Ford's BYOD program, which the company has taken to calling ePod, or emailing personally owned devices, which demonstrates that the largest companies in the world recognize the momentum built by consumerization, creating the need for BYOD. Under the ePod program, Ford allows its employees to access the company's enterprise email platform, the calendars, business contacts, and task lists through personally owned devices. The program initially began with just a few different models of BlackBerry smartphones, but it has since grown to include iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. Then there's Blackstone. Blackstone is a global investment and advisory firm, and according to the CTO, Bill Murphy, the driving force was productivity, giving employees the tools that they feel comfortable with, making it a pleasant experience to get work done. Good, now let's consider some advantages and disadvantages.
Advantages. Productivity. Employees are more comfortable with a personal device and become experts in using it, making them much more productive. Also, users seems to upgrade to the latest hardware more frequently on their own. Employee satisfaction. Our people will use the devices they have chosen and invested in rather than what was selected by IT. 83% of users consider their mobile device more important than their morning coffee. Allowing employees to use personal devices also prevent them from carrying multiple devices. Organizational appeal. From a corporate standpoint, an innovative BYOD business model will attract and retain top performers, providing a competitive advantage over others in the industry. The work flexibility appeals to employees, and they often put in time outside of traditional work hours. Cost savings. One of the main benefits to the employer is the cost savings associated with providing employees with devices. Not only are there upfront costs for the device itself, there are also ongoing costs attached to hardware upgrades, software releases, and support. Disadvantages. Security. BYOD will have implications on data security, but there are several IT solutions available to manage this risk. Legal. Although significant privacy, security, and legal challenges exist, analyzing the existing IT environment and policies will ensure that specific BYOD issues are being adequately addressed. Developing a personal device use policy will help legal and compliance personnel focus on key challenges and hopefully will help to reduce risk to an acceptable level. Support or support management. BYOD will put extra strain on IT support, there's no doubt about that. Because applications must be adapted for different devices, support costs will increase and make centralized app management necessary. For this reason, more funds will be needed for mobile management tools to control personal devices and their applications. The infrastructure required. My research indicated Dell BYOD systems are the most suited for our requirements. This solution set will look into the enterprise workspace, the network access, management, application enablement, and service and support. The second solution set is for the cloud experience. Once again, from the enterprise workspace right through to service and support. All the requirements are addressed by the Dell solution. Third place, we look at the network optimization, the solution set from Dell, addressing all those points as mentioned before. And finally, we look at the applications, the modernization and the development solution set that will protect and manage all the applications needed for our people to do their work. Good. Let us now consider the best practices for implementing BYOD. There are 7 points to consider on the best practice. Firstly, implement remote wipe from the enterprise or the company. There's a real chance that a BYOD device will be lost or stolen. With a remote wipe, which can be generated from within the business, we can prevent many headaches in the wake of misplaced devices. Secondly, provide simple, workable solutions that even novices can use. Very important. The workforce contains varying levels of technology aptness. Therefore, the solutions provided need to contain appropriate functionality and be easy to use. In the third place, let's build a facility to deal with the terminated employees. As it stands, even before an employee leaves the business, they are a security risk, and in the event of termination, access needs to be appropriately restricted. Fourthly, protect sensitive and personal information. Personnel devices contains personal information, documents and applications, and therefore we need to apply a particular policy to hide the personal information from IT administrators. Next, implement a records management policy for business records. Records management is a critical compliance requirement and should be controlled by business and not left to the individual user. A clear definition of what is a business record and how it should be saved and archived should be defined. And then we need to isolate the corporate data. It is vital to isolate corporate data on these devices, which includes but is not limited to mandate records management requirements for archive, disaster recovery, and business continuity implications, email accounts, VPN, and wireless settings, enterprise applications that have been pushed down, as well as documents. And lastly, we look at the continuously monitoring all automated actions. The business should have the ability to monitor the state of each device accessing the network, whether it's approved or not. This information will tell us when we need to make new policies or compliance rules. So this now concludes the background information around BYOD. Next, let us look at the financial viability. Now all these costs end up in the cash flow at the bottom there. Going from -10, which is basically our setup cost, -10 million, and in 6 years time to 12.9 million. I've used a discount rate of 10%, and that has returned a net present value of 1.46 million in year 6, which is a positive outcome. The internal rate of return also 11.98% is substantially bigger than the 10% discount we've got. The profitability index is positive number as well. Well, positive not, but bigger as 1, meaning that we're on the right track here. The payback period, it looks like payback will be just over 5 years, 5 years and 3-4 months. Now let's look at the sensitivity analysis. In a first scenario here, I've taken 10% off the improved productivity, meaning if we're not going to achieve the set improvement on our productivity, what's going to be the influence on our net present value or our payback period. And if we go down there, the net present value is still more than $1 million. The internal rate of return 11.39%, which is still more than 10% discount rate we're using. And then the profitability index, again bigger than 1, meaning this is a positive return, and the influence of the 10% less productivity will not upset the apple cart. The payback is within just over 5 years, 5 years and 2 months. The second scenario, here what we've done here is we've increased the software cost by 10%, meaning that our software will go up by 10%, and see what the influence will be on all our values here. The net present value goes down under $1 million, 0.92. The internal rate of return is still healthy, more than our discount rate. The profitability index still more than 1, and the payback period hasn't really changed, still keeping just over 5 years. The third scenario, the sensitivity analysis that we're considering here is where the incremental maintenance will increase by 15%. We are budgeting for $500,000, but this is one of the unknowns, depending on what the people bring to us. And therefore, let's look what the influence will be if we've got a very much increased incremental maintenance bill to service our employees with their BYOD devices. The net present value is still positive at $350,000 in year 6 or after 6 years. The internal rate of return barely, but just over 10%, which is still more than our discount rate. The profitability index is more than 1, bigger than 1, and then the payback period, again, just over 5 years. Even with a substantial increase in that incremental maintenance cost, this project or the outcome still looks very positive for our future. In conclusion, the proliferation of consumer devices in the workplace has created tremendous opportunity for organizations to allow their employees to work in a new, more innovative and productive way. Everyone who sets IT policy should work to accommodate and support the fact that employees are buying new devices and want to use them at work. At the same time, organizations must secure corporate data without interfering with personal use of employee-owned devices. This affects not only technology decisions, but also legal, financial, business process, and human resource decisions. The old IT practice of just saying no or prohibiting access to corporate data from personal devices or insisting that employees use company-owned devices for work just doesn't work in a consumerization era. Employees will and do find ways around untenable and restrictive policies. They have smart devices because they are smart people. BYOD is a more enlightened approach to the consumerization challenge because it allows employees to use their own devices for work. However, BYOD works only when it is supported by robust technology, effective policies, processes, and communications. Our organization will accrue the maximum benefits of BYOD when we provide a strong and effective program for managing and supporting employee devices for work. The policies of leading organizations will guide us in providing a starting point for how our organization can embark on this exciting journey. Lessons learned. Lessons learned are first and foremost the relevant aspects concerning BYOD, and that includes all the benefits, the disadvantages, the legal implications, the security threats, and the infrastructure requirements when embarking on this road. Secondly, it was good to learn and apply financial tools like payback period, the net present value, the internal rate of return, the profitability index, and then furthermore conducting sensitivity analysis on these different scenarios, and they clearly showed how certain assumptions influence the return on investment.